Good morning from the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force in Dayton, Ohio, oldest and largest military aviation museum on Earth. We are not open yet, but I'm volunteering today, and I thought that I would do a quick video of the new WASP, or Women's Air Service Pilot exhibit, here in Building 1 in the World War II Gallery. So here we go. This is the crux of the exhibit, telling about the WASPs under the leadership of Jackie Cochran. So from 1942 until 1944, the Women Airforce Service Pilots was a group of civilian volunteers who were the first American women to fly military aircraft. It was more than 3 decades before they were recognized as members of the military and treated as veterans. This exhibit just opened up this week. This is the WASP uniform, Women's Air Force. They flew the AT-10 Wichita, a lot of them.
The same procedure for male parent pilots. Then the women would be commissioned in the U.S. Army Air Force's Engineering Flight Day. But Congress made no provision for female pilots, and rather than delay the program, the women signed on as civil service employees.
This is a display of their uniforms and kit.
In August 1943, Cochran's operation moved to Sweetwater, Texas. At the same time, the WASP,
this is a photo op where youngsters can get behind.
An organization called the Women Airforce Service Pilots, or WASP. Combining the two organizations brought together these women who were dedicated to flying and committed to serving their country.
Sweetwater, Texas. That was where we trained.
So if you would like to see this exhibit in person,
A lot of restrictions there, but I didn't care. I'll do what they told me to do so I could keep flying these airplanes.
Betty Walsh-Dreyfus, WASP Class 44W1. More than 25,000 women applied for the WASP training program. 1,830 were admitted, but only 1,074 completed the course and received an assignment. In 27 months of operation, they flew more than 12,000 aircraft transfers for more than 60 million miles to 126 factories and bases throughout the United States. The women of the WASP could fly any aircraft in any weather to any place at a moment's notice with skills that equaled any pilot of the time. They also worked as flight and radar tracking instructors, as well as engineering test pilots. They provided training for live ammunition by towing targets and flying drones. Despite their training and experience, the WASP were not accepted in their roles by everyone. The women were frequently confronted by hostility, unfair obstructions, and gender discrimination from male pilots and commanding officers. By June 1944, when the WASP bill came before Congress, the tide of the war had changed. With an Allied victory in sight, the women pilots were denied militarization. General Arnold had become an advocate for the female pilots, but had to regretfully announce the WASP would be disbanded by the end of the year. That December, in a letter to Betty Gillies, one of the original WASPs, Brigadier General Bobby Nolan wrote,
"In adding my personal best wishes, I want to emphasize, in conjunction with all other Ferry and Division officers, your work has been effective, your conduct exemplary, and your service to your country in the best traditions of the Army Air Forces. Brigadier General Bob E. Nolan."
30 years later, once again before Congress, the WASP defended their dedicated service and long overdue entitlements as veterans of World War II.
And we had proof to show that what we had done during the war. And because of what we had, the congressmen, they took it under consideration. It took them a while, but they finally recognized us as pilots and also as World War II pilots. And so we were recognized there. And we were recognized as veterans at that time, and I'm very proud to be a veteran of the United States Air Force.
Despite opposition from prominent veteran groups, President Carter signed the GI Bill Improvement Act of 1977, which retroactively granted active duty status for the WASP, making them eligible for benefits from the Department of Veteran Affairs. In 2010, President Obama awarded the group the Congressional Gold Medal.
All we ever ask for is that our overlooked history would someday no longer be a missing chapter in the history of World War II, in the history of the Air Force, in the history of aviation, and most especially the history of America.
What began as an experiment became a resounding success. The WASP proved to be dedicated and hardworking and showed they could fly wingtip to wingtip with their countrymen, breaking ground for female pilots of the future.
So that's a little video that is part of the exhibit, and very well done, I think.
During the early days of World War II, General Hap Arnold, commander of the United States Army Air Forces, rejected many proposals to employ women for aircraft ferrying operations. He claimed that.
And you heard me mention Jackie Cochran, who was one of the initial members of the WASPs, and this is her cap and gloves. And over here is the Congressional Gold Medal that was awarded to them. So by all means, I would say come and see this exhibit and everything else we have on display here at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, National Museum of the U.S. Air Force, Dayton, Ohio. Open 9 to 5, 7 days a week with the exception of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Day. And as always, admission is free.